third in line to the throne, will call the meeting to order, please.
Okay, I'm here.
All right, and roll call.
Oh, I'm here.
Heidi's here.
There's Heidi.
Sal Graven.
That reign of terror was short-lived.
I'll remember that.
I know you will.
If Heidi, do you want to take the lead since we don't really know where Marty is?
Yeah, that's fine. Sue, you were just going to call the roll. Correct?
Yes, I'm going to call the roll with the meeting called to order at 1:06. I'm going to do the roll call. Rudaba. Sal Graven.
Present.
Sid Garrett.
Here.
Marty Mannix. Dan Burke.
Here.
Heidi Kelly.
Here.
We can continue with the meeting, but right now we do not have a quorum.
Okay. All right. Well, then we will skip approval of the agenda and skip approval of the minutes and I guess of the meeting dates as well. Is there any public comment? Anybody on there? I don't think so. So we'll turn it over to President Agnetti for his report.
All right, well, good afternoon, and I appreciate Heidi, you stepping up in this an interesting circumstance. I just want to, again, welcome everyone this afternoon, and certainly to the College Council members for being here today. And it's always my pleasure to provide a report as to what's happening on campus. And this is not unlike any other day that we have here. There's a plethora of activity that seem to always occur. When we last met in February, we were just beginning the semester in person. And as we sit right now, we're approximately 4 weeks from the end of classes. And I can report to the council that the spring term has gone well, and our advanced planning to address the anticipated challenges and the management of our health and safety needs has proved to be invaluable. We wouldn't be where we are right now without all the planning and certainly the execution of those plans as we've gone throughout the semester. Among some of the highlights with respect to COVID, nearly 600 SUNY Plattsburgh students, both from on and off campus locations, received the first of the 2 COVID vaccinations last week. This is the Moderna vaccine that we provided. That was done right in Memorial Hall. Anyone under the age of 30 now in New York State is now broadly eligible. And based on our inside information, we were likely among the first SUNY campuses to run a pod clinic. Ours was kicking off at 8:30 in the morning. We've heard the next one may have kicked off at 8:45. So we can claim first place for 15 minutes on that one. I also want to acknowledge that the college's nursing students supported this effort, and they were key to the administration of the vaccines at our pod, as were members of the Clinton County Health Department who joined us as well. And on that topic of health departments, the college worked with both Clinton and Essex counties' health departments, along with the CVPH, or the Champlain Valley Physicians Hospital here in Plattsburgh, to secure the vaccine. And we owe a debt of gratitude to our essentially our A&F, or maintenance and operations part, to set up the clinic space in Memorial Hall gym. We also are going to endeavor to do a second dose in the early part of May, which will coincide with the 4-week period that needs to be waited between the first and second doses of Moderna. Dr. Kathleen Camello, who's the director of the Student Health Center and also president of the Clinton County Board of Health, led the effort to set up the clinic and acquire the vaccines. And I want to just say that we appreciate her efforts on this front very much. And in a sort of a stay tuned mode, we're looking forward to host additional student clinics with a single dose Johnson & Johnson vaccine very soon. And so we're awaiting word as to the availability of the vaccine to campus. And as soon as we have a confirmation of an order, we'll set up a clinic and inform students that this is available. Another aspect is for our COVID work is the pooled surveillance testing for COVID-19. And again, that continues to be a key component to keep the SUNY Plattsburgh safe this spring. Approximately 3,000 tests are being conducted each week, and they're mandatory for students, faculty, and staff. I'm a Wednesday person when it comes to my test. I'm also participating with the pool testing as a volunteer. I usually, my shift is usually on Monday mornings to pool the samples as we're collecting them. And the rest of the facility, or our testing center, is being run by 140 faculty and staff volunteers who are absolutely critical to support the effort. And again, they fill shifts from half a day to full days each week. In fact, Andrea just left for her shift. She's an attendant on the front end collecting our employee samples and logging them into the system. We also have some paid student workers who are helping in various capacities to ensure that our testing centers run smoothly from 9 till 4 each Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And as of this morning, the college has performed nearly 41,000 COVID tests since last August. And just for some current data, we currently have 22 active COVID cases among students and staff, and those are in isolation. And we also have 19 individuals who are in quarantine as a result of contact tracing. And we are still using Harrington Hall as our INQ, which stands for Isolation and Quarantine Facility. And the campus still has about 89% remaining capacity to house students, in what's being now affectionately known as Harrington Hotel. And just a little anecdote about that, as our students come off of quarantine or isolation, they're given the green light to leave. And we've had several students ask if they can have a late checkout, which is kind of interesting. What that typically translates to is they don't want to leave right away because they either want to finish something that they're working on, or there's a lunch issue, and they are reporting a high level of, I'll say, customer service when it comes to creature comforts. And we've got an incredible team that's running food and water and everything else that the students need to, in many ways, make that isolation or quarantine experience that much more, and I hate to use this word, enjoyable, but that's the goal for our INQ team. I want to also say that the faculty, the staff, and the students continue to step up at this challenging time. And again, when we're all becoming very COVID weary. And so I thank each and every one of our employees for their continued hard work, their dedication, and it's making a huge difference to the way in which our campus is able to continue to put student success at the forefront of all that we do. I want to focus my remarks today in a couple of key areas, specifically campus operations and the fall 2021. I'll talk a bit about planning and budget, and I'll also touch on a few other items and pride points for our campus. And I'll also be covering for our provost, Dr. Ann Herzog, today as well. Ann is not able to join us, but I will provide some of the highlights from her report today as well.
Alex, if I can just interrupt, I apologize. There's someone on the board here, LJ. I'm not sure who you are, so if you could unmute yourself and who you're representing.
Hi, I'm just a faculty member. It was on my calendar. I thought I'd pop in. Is this a closed meeting?
No,
No, it is not. I'm sorry. I just wasn't sure who was out there, so I just wanted to make it clear and just to identify yourself.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, Sue. All right. Again, our COVID case, I'll talk a bit about campus operations and fall planning. So our COVID case numbers have remained relatively steady since mid-February. Again, close quarter living, lack of vaccines until just recently, and again, the fatigue that I've mentioned has really maintained that steady number of cases that we've seen since February the 15th. I want you to know that our social distancing and face covering policies are still in place, as are gathering and event restrictions. And again, the campus buildings remain closed to visitors. There's a path in place for commencement. And again, I'm very pleased to announce that last Friday, I sent an email to our graduating class of 2021, indicating that we're going to have commencement, and I'll talk in a moment, on May the 15th. In order to approach this decision, we decided to have 2 focus groups with students. We did an online survey, which went out to all the graduating students, and my own conversations with students as I walked the campus. And we discovered one important thing. our graduates' top priority is to walk across the stage for their diplomas. And this we're going to do with them in the Fieldhouse Gymnasium. To keep the density low, as I reported on Friday to the campus, we're going to hold a series of smaller ceremonies through the day instead of our large usual commencements. And right now the plan is to hold 5 separate in-person events. We're going to limit the attendance to members of the class of 2021. All the participants, based on New York State requirements, will need either proof of vaccination or a negative COVID test within 72 hours in order to attend the commencement exercise. And again, we're going to be following the current guidance from the state of New York and SUNY that limits attendance regardless of the venue size or location. And just to give you a perspective, if we had a football stadium that was indoors, like with a roof on it, we would only be allowed to have 150 participants, regardless of how many that venue could hold, according to the current guidelines that we're working with. We're planning to group our graduates into schools of their major, and we're looking again at times of 8 a.m., 10 a.m., noon hour, 2 p.m., and 4 p.m. And then we're also going to create a sixth event at 6 p.m. That's an online option for those students who are unable to attend in person. And we'll develop a specific format soon, and we're certainly going to include elements of our traditional ceremony. And I just want to say that it is incredibly disappointing to all of us that family and friends will not be able to attend these in-person events. And at this point in time, it's uncertain if we'll be able to have faculty in attendance as well. And that's something that's being determined as we speak right now. We're going to be sharing the celebration as the students walk through the commencement line on a live stream. So it'll be available in real time to anyone who's has a great interest in each individual student. I'll be there. I'm still debating how I'm going to do this, whether I will use the tongs sort of to deliver the degree, or if I'll just wear my double vinyl gloves and shake everyone's hand. That's to be determined. But anyway, we're going to actually record the ceremony, and they'll be available online after we're finished. The last thing about planning ahead is fall of 2021. And plans are underway right now for a 2021 fall semester that is going to be predominantly face-to-face or in person. And this modality better reflects our residential campus status and helps to serve our students the best. We expect that most classes will be in person, although some classes or courses will be online or in a hybrid format, as we've done this past semester and in the previous 2 semesters. Adding this particular flexibility adds value to the student learning in particular areas. Campus housing, community living, dining services will largely match our pre-COVID landscape, and this certainly includes the ability of more clubs or organizations, athletics, and recreational sports to meet in person. Of course, the caveat, and the huge caveat, is that we will follow all health guidance as it comes to us, and we will always share specific health and medical requirements with our current and in the incoming students as they are developed as we move towards fall of 2021. So an exciting development, and I know that, again, in my interactions with students, there's a strong desire to be here in person versus having a predominantly distance or online modality. The next thing I want to talk a bit about is our strategic planning and budget. And the work on our strategic plan continues, and it's working its way right now. The process has been branded or known as Plattsburgh Next. And I'm going to say this is a critical step in our future. And Provost Ann Herzog is leading this effort along with Senate Chair Dr. Gary Kroll. They are joined by a steering committee that's driving much of this work. And right now there's a heavy push on focus groups and listening. And I've had the pleasure of leading several of these with community, I'll say external community members, a business sector, a nonprofit sector, healthcare sector, and our political leaders. And later this week, I meet with our education sector leaders as well. Purpose of these conversations is to determine how can the campus better elevate the prosperity of the North Country through business, nonprofit, healthcare, education, and certainly working with our civil service or basically our political leadership. And what I've heard in the preliminary conversations is a strong desire to elevate our internship and extracurricular activities that students can actually be, I'll say, additionally immersed into the community to learn, in many ways, skill sets that will provide them tremendous career advantages as they leave SUNY Plattsburgh with their degrees in hand. So I'm excited about the local leadership being interested in partnering with the campus in this way. Connected to our strategic planning process is our financial stability and our spending plans. And again, the New York State budget was finally approved last week, a little bit past the April 1st deadline. Based on my initial read, it seems to be very good for SUNY, even in this difficult environment that we're facing with respect to economic challenges associated with COVID. Mixed with our, I'll say, relatively stable enrollment, we haven't not seen the drops that we anticipated that we thought COVID would bring to the campus. The addition of one-time federal stimulus resources and the extremely austere spending that we've done this past year, we currently look to have a $12 million surplus of one-time funds as we go into the 2021-2022 fiscal year. And this will assist us as we put the strategic plan into place. And as I noted previously in our last meeting in February, we will also take this time to carefully examine how we'll operate and where we will spend. And all the VPs are currently working to reduce base budget expenditures by a minimum of 7% in the next fiscal year. The next item I want to touch upon connects to a social media post. And I want you to know that an employee's comment on social media was brought to our attention back in May of 2020. And I spoke about this at last Tuesday's Faculty Senate meeting. The comments made by this employee are racist and they are extremely hurtful, and they constitute hate speech. We held a campus-wide meeting on Wednesday, March the 31st to hear concerns and answer questions about this particular post. And at that time, I stated to the campus community that the language that this individual used in the social media post has created a high degree of discomfort, it's created trauma, and even terror for some of our BIPOC students, staff, and faculty. And I told the campus then, and I say it again today, this is not okay. And I firmly believe that there's no circumstance or any campus culture that makes the comments of this particular employee okay. And in no circumstance should we not hold this employee responsible and accountable. And as I said last Wednesday, and I said at the Senate meeting as well, I want there to be no confusion. The college nor I are defending this employee in any way. I also want to highlight and acknowledge the work that occurs when these bias incidents occur. And this work is undertaken by our Diversity Incident Response Education and Communication Team, or DIRECT. And details of the direct response protocol and decision tree are posted on the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion website. And so you know what occurred in response to this social media post. The post information immediately resulted in a report to our direct team for their action. And in this case, and as in all cases, the reports are reviewed by the team for issues that may require HR assistance, or in the case of criminal issues that may require the university police's assistance. We also consult with our Office of General Counsel for guidance as well. This employee was contacted shortly after we were alerted about the social media post. The employee was informed how their words were hateful, harmful to others, and that these words were causing trauma to the campus community. And I want you all to know that our campus takes a trauma-informed restorative justice approach to these incidents. And although nearly 1 year has elapsed, we are still in outreach to this employee. And I would take this moment just for a moment to say that we've extended an offer to the College Council to participate in critical consciousness efforts and work. That is part of this restorative justice work that's happening on the campus. And I would, again, encourage the College Council to join us in these conversations as we build and move towards an inclusive academy that benefits not just students and faculty and staff, but our broader community here in Plattsburgh. Some news and pride points, and this will come primarily from Provost Herzog's report. The American Management Association Student Club participated in the virtual 2021 AMA International Intercollegiate Conference, and received outstanding awards in internal, external communications and commendable mention for case competition. We also just conducted a successful School of Business and Economics Leadership Summit. Over 200 attendees were present, and there was tremendous involvement of alumni and college friends. We've also submitted a proposal for approval for an online business administration degree. We're now awaiting Faculty Senate and then the State Department of Education review and approval. I want to mention that we've made we'll have some personnel changes occurring in the School of Business and Economics. Dr. Brian Neurether as the interim dean and John Parmalee as the assistant to the dean. This is effective on June the 1st. And as you may know, Dean Rowena Ortiz Walters is leaving to become the dean of the Greehey School of Business at St. Mary's University in San Antonio, Texas. At the February 2021 meeting, the Commission on Accreditation reviewed the reaffirmation application for the Baccalaureate in Social Work program. And this Commission on Accreditation voted to reaffirm the program's accreditation for 8 additional years, which now takes it forward to the year of 2029. On another accreditation note, the Council on Academic Accreditation in Audiology and Speech Language Pathology, or the CAA, has just voted to continue accreditation for the graduate education program in speech language pathology at SUNY Plattsburgh for another 8-year period ending in the year 2028. A Queensbury campus update. There's a fall conference coming up on climate change featuring Bill McGibbon and Catherine Hayhoe. These are 2 of the most prominent speakers on climate change, and we'll be promoting this with faculty and encourage student attendance. And there's no cost involved for students to attend, and it's going to be open to all who wish to participate. And the next point I want to make is that Cassandra Doran of Marathon, New York, a psych major, and James Faraci of Troy, New York, a biochemistry and biomedical sciences major, have both been selected for the Chancellor's Awards for Student Excellence. And again, this is a demonstration of an integration of their academic excellence in other aspects of their lives, including leadership, campus involvement, athletics, career achievement, community service, creative and performing arts. So we'll be celebrating with these students a little bit later on in this semester with respect to their selection as Chancellor Awards for Student Excellence. I wanted to also mention that the college honored our late Director of the Educational Opportunity Program, or EOP, Kyla Relaford, and this was part of a statewide effort on women's empowerment draft in late March. Students and faculty and staff are invited to the Kyla Relaford room across from the EOP office suite to create a mosaic. This effort pays tribute to women's empowerment icons through a football-inspired draft ceremony. The Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and EOP partnered to honor Kyla, who died April 15th, 2018. And the next item I want to just talk about is Title IX and Radius are recognizing April as Sexual Assault Awareness Month with a slate of events and programs beginning with What Were You Wearing? An art installation that reflects how sexual assault victims are often blamed for the clothing that they wore. The exhibit, which runs through Wednesday in the Feinberg Library, is based on student survivor descriptions of the clothing they were wearing during their assaults. The final item I want to mention is that the work on our Middle States reaccreditation continues with an intense focus on writing our self-study report. This is an important component ahead of the planned site visit in April of 2022. So this concludes my report to the College Council. I'm happy to answer any questions at this time. Thank you very much, Heidi, for the opportunity to address the council today.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any questions? I have one. Has there been any, I actually have 2. Has there been any discussion at Plattsburgh or in the SUNY system about requiring vaccines for returning students in the fall?
So Heidi, yes, there's a discussion that's occurring. I would say there's an interesting divide on the debate because the vaccine as it exists right now is an experimental, I believe it's called an EUA or EAU, whatever, but it doesn't have full FDA approval. So there could be challenges around mandating the requirement for a vaccine when it's not been fully, I'll say, approved by the FDA. So that's a part. You've probably seen, for example, Cornell, Rutgers. There's probably a dozen schools now that are pushing this idea of mandating vaccines. So I think that, again, the conversation is out there. As you know, we'll have to wait for system-wide guidance with respect to this. No individual campus will be able to do this one way or the other. So thanks, Heidi, for the question.
And then my other question is, you mentioned the critical consciousness series, and I guess this question is for Michelle, because Michelle, you had talked about setting those up for College Council, and is that still in the works?
Thank you for that question, Heidi. So an email was sent out to College Council members in March, and
I missed that.
we've gone to people's spam folders, but we got no responses. So
yeah,
yeah,
I don't recall receiving that.
Yeah, I don't either.
So I can send it again, because I think we can still, I use the word salvage, that we still have March and June if you'd like to do some of that work. So I would talk a little bit more of that in my report. So the email did go out, but we can still pivot and try to continue doing the work.
Did anybody else see that? Did any of the other College Council members see that email?
I did not.
I don't
have to
remember.
go back
I
and
don't
look.
remember it either. No.
So somehow it didn't reach us. So, but I look forward to the opportunity to do that. So please send it again. And if we don't get it, I'll be in touch with
I
you, so
absolutely
you know.
will. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Heidi, it's part question, part concern. I didn't know, Alex, and I might have missed it in your report, but if there is anything that is being done to make all of the faculty, and I know most of them are, but a purposeful discussion pertaining to the trauma that the students, not only that we have now in school from COVID and their lives and what they've gone through, but the incoming class of freshmen, which in talking to lots of counselors, you know, the idea is in some ways socially, they haven't grown like they should have, and academically it is all over the charts. And we need to obviously have some compassion, and hopefully our counseling staff will be aware of the fact that the trauma that they went through will maybe be something we need to address as the year goes on. But
So I think, Sydney, your question is great, because it does go to the point of care in terms of understanding the impact that COVID is having on this graduating class of high school seniors, and what trauma they're carrying, what they will bring to the campus. I know that Vice President Wahab is on the call, and I suspect that Lizzie may have some details about mental health and counseling care when she gives her report. But that is one aspect that is being certainly looked at this time. So thanks.
okay, and even the academics, as hopefully everyone, I'm sure they will, but I need to say it, is well aware of the fact that it's all over the place. You know, the success rate and what the programs were, and I'm talking to lots of counselors here in the Mid-Atlantic at a meeting I was on. There's just a crazy amount of trepidation pertaining to the fact that the students don't feel like they're even ready to go. You know, they're just a mess. So thank you for listening to me.
Well, I think, and Sydney, what you're indicating is it's going to be a very interesting class that matriculates to
I
us.
think so.
All. And I think that one of the things that we've really strived to do here is to demonstrate that Cardinals care. And I believe that through some of the fundraising that we've been doing around support for our students, and as our incoming class arrives, we have an opportunity to really demonstrate in a day-to-day, almost an hour way, what it means that Cardinals care. And I think just keeping that at the forefront of the challenges that our students face is an important piece. So again, thank you for bringing that up.
Yes, thank you.
Alex, what do you know, or even guesstimate is good enough, but just curious on the vaccination rates between students and also, which is probably going to be lower end just because they were just opened up, but certainly vaccination rates on faculty and staff. And is there any concern about mumblings or falsehoods and rumors being spread about this vaccine, and just sort of, just sort of a hands off to not wanting it?
So Sal, you're right about the vaccine hesitancy that's occurring. As I've told the council in the past, I love walking around campus. They even gave me a little gem car I could drive around, but I've refused to ever drive it. So I like just to walk. But when I went to the vaccination site last week, I spoke with some of our nursing students, and I said, what do you find is happening? And they said, well, there are some students who are saying that their parents are telling them not to get it. And I didn't want to get into detail. So there's some parental pressure not to take the vaccine. There's probably equally as much parents are saying, go get that vaccine. It's available. I have heard there's some mythology. There were urban myths that are going around fertility and young women's ability to have children if you have the vaccine. I'm sure that's one of many things that are circulating. That's a challenging piece, because in order for a vaccine to work successfully, you have to develop that herd immunity piece, and that's what's happening with the vaccine. So if there's still large segments of our population that don't receive it, then the virus has the capacity to really, I'll say, move around and mutate and become much more aggressive. So that's I think if you read or pay attention to what perhaps CDC and Dr. Fauci are saying, we're kind of at a critical place right now. So we'll see where that goes. But to your earlier question, you asked about the frequency or the rate at which folks are getting the vaccine. That's a question I asked last week, and it turns out that whenever we submit our vials for testing, we do a mandatory login, and it says, have you been vaccinated? And I'm sure everyone who works at the college knows, and you have to say yes or no. And so I always say yes, and then it says, what is it? I say it's Moderna, and they say, what was your last date? February the 4th, and then it goes from there. And that data that's being collected, we're asking not for the individual information. We're curious to know what's the percentage of the students that are taking the test that have it, because not only are our students now eligible for the vaccine, but many of our student workers have been eligible for almost a month. So we know that there's a high number of student employees that have taken the vaccine. Our nursing students who were in a large pod when I met with them at the vaccine site, they've all been vaccinated for months now. And that puts us into a 200 plus number of students with respect to that program. So I have a sense that there's a relatively high degree of inoculation that's occurred. And also the county is doing really well too. I hear reports anywhere between 40 and close to 50% of the county has been already been inoculated. We're doing close to 10 or 1,000 or so inoculations at the various sites here in the community. The drugstores are now open to do this, and if we can get the J&J next week, we'll be running clinics, and we'll be able to actually put more needles into arms. And there's a great, I'll say, benefit to the J&J. It's one and done. Once you've had that first shot, you don't have to schedule and come back. So we don't have to worry about those students returning for a second clinic. So.
Right. My uncle is a doctor of pharmacology, and so I do agree that perhaps there's further research needed, on efficacy and long-term effects in adolescents, particularly in young women, and the impacts on their fertility. But that said, when it comes to faculty, certainly, and staff, and those who are later on in age, I think it hopefully those folks who are a little hesitant sort of come around, because I think that plays into sort of the long-term health and safety of the overall campus. It's far easier, I think, to deal with the student population than it might be to have to deal with everyone come the fall. So this college council member encourages all faculty and staff to certainly get that shot.
Great. And I think I was reading that this is maybe the 55th year anniversary of the polio vaccine going live. And I think a lot of the discussion back then really does feel it's very similar to what we're hearing today. Maybe it's been a little longer, but there's something special about today in the polio vaccine.
Hey, any other questions?
Yeah, this is Dan. Just this is not so deep. Logistics of the graduation. I know that Sue has sent out an email to the college council members asking us to participate. And there's I think 5 or 6 of them, Doctor, that you said are going to happen all day. I assume you want us there. Do you want us there, a couple of us there at a time? Do you want one of us there at a time? I mean, are we handing out the diplomas, the covers for the diplomas?
So luckily we've got Sue Gadway in the call, and Ken Kennelly's not here. Sue and Ken are the tip of the iceberg on this one with respect to all the work that's happening with respective teams. So Sue, any words of wisdom you want to impart right now with respect to that?
Sure. What we're looking to achieve is at least one representative from the College Council to be at either, if one person wants to be at all of them, or if you guys want to split it up. I have heard from Heidi Kelly. Heidi does express an interest in attending where we may need her. She just advised that she just doesn't want the 8 o'clock one, which I can't say that I blame her.
Probably Dan
Unless
Burke
we
doesn't
need her.
either. We got a long way to
But
go.
the urgency on that side is it's just because of the academic regalia in reaching out to the college store. Right. We just need to get regalia ordered. So that's why we're still working on logistics. We're just wondering if one of you would be a representative at one of those ceremonies, just because we probably are going to have to limit the number of the council members, unfortunately, on the platform, just due to the 6 feet, 3 feet apart, whatever it is that we end up doing for the actual ceremony. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, certainly. I'll send you an email later, but the answer is going to be sure. I'd be glad to help, but I was trying to figure out if I figured you would split it up among us if there was more than 1 or 2 or 3 of us that want to do it. So I'll send you that email just to confirm it.
Sounds
right.
perfect.
We really need to hear from Marty too and see what he would like to do.
Yeah,
yes.
he might want to do them all, which is fine.
Yeah. You never know. Yeah.
So it's fine with me. Yeah. No, there's no competing for the spot.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Well, that's good to hear because I plan to do them all as well.
Yeah, well, that's nice.
And me too.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, then I believe it's Dr. Rizak is next. Thank you, Dr. Agnetti.
You're very welcome.
Hi, everyone, and I apologize again for basically jumping the line to give an early report. I have a 2 p.m. Arts and Science Chairs meeting that I need to leave early for. I have a couple things I want to talk about. I did want to say one thing in response to Sid's question, since you asked about, basically the incoming first-year students. One thing that I think is very fortunate, and it just is happening this way, that with the new general education program that is being implemented starting in the fall, there are these foundation seminars that are designed to be very small for first-year students to really teach a lot of study skills and that sort of things, along with covering a topic area. But it seems like it's a great time for it to be starting, because students who are coming in are going to have this cohort, this small group of fellow students who are coming in. They're all going to be, first year, new to this. And it can give them a chance to actually get to know a group like that and a faculty member who's going to be working closely with them. So I think it's very, very fortunate that is happening at this time.
Yes, that's great.
Okay, so a couple things I want to mention. Alex mentioned middle states. I wanted to say a little bit more about that as one of the co-chairs of the self-study. For me, it's getting very, very real. I mean, we've been working on this for a couple of years leading up to it, but we are now at the point, so we've been working really hard on getting together a draft of the self-study. The draft is not done yet, but it's really coming together very well. We're working on setting up some meetings with the steering committee in a couple of weeks to start to get more feedback on the draft. We're incorporating the work that they had done, putting it into a draft. We have dates set for the preliminary visit of the chair of the visitation team in October. That will be a virtual visit. And we have, I think the dates are locked in for not quite a year from now for the full visit next spring. So now that these dates are being all set, and we have dates that we have to get the full study done, it's, for me anyway, it's becoming more real than it has been. And it's been a lot of work. It's been real all along, but setting some of those dates and realizing we have less than a year before the visit, it's becoming even more significant. One other thing that I just want to bring up, because often what I've been saying at these meetings is, it's been a tough year for everyone. I want to just bring up a resolution that has been put forward. It's hasn't been approved yet, but a resolution that is going to the University Faculty Senate for next week, that I want to read to you parts and paraphrase parts of it, because I think it hits on a lot of what a lot of people are feeling about what this whole year has been like. And this is a resolution in recognition of the COVID-19 pandemic response and the need for continued support. So again, I won't read the whole thing, but I do want to read parts of it. It says, whereas the COVID-19 pandemic has had a significant impact on the entire SUNY community, whereas faculty, staff, and administration have worked untiringly and cooperatively at continuing the SUNY mission to, quote, provide to the people of New York educational services of the highest quality with the broadest possible access, end quote, despite the changing modalities, technological infrastructure, and increased family responsibilities, providing remarkable care and support for our students and colleagues during this time. Whereas SUNY has led health efforts through collective public responsibility, having administered over 1 million tests for the novel coronavirus on SUNY campuses, and assisting with innumerable vaccinations at various state and county vaccination sites, often staffed with volunteer labor from SUNY faculty, staff, and administration. Whereas SUNY faculty and staff have led educational efforts through working and reworking of courses and scholarly opportunities for faculty and students across SUNY. And whereas SUNY faculty, staff, and administration will continue to experience physical, mental, emotional, and professional effects from this pandemic for the foreseeable future. Therefore, be it resolved that the SUNY University Faculty Senate acknowledges the incredibly hard work, growth, and resilience exhibited over the course of the COVID-19 pandemic by SUNY faculty, staff, administration, and students. And I'll paraphrase the rest, be it further resolved that we're really asking campuses to compile the extraordinary efforts that have been put forward and during the crisis, along with some unexpected positive outcomes that have been found through this. We're also recognizing what system administration has done to support campuses through shared governance, through its commitment to continuing, and requesting the continued support, particularly for health and mental health services and professional development for faculty and staff as we continue to work through the consequences that, because it's not over yet, it's still coming. This, to me, I just, I think it's a great resolution because it is intended to recognize that everybody has been working together, students, faculty, staff, administration, locally administration at the system level to get through what has obviously been an incredibly difficult year. And it's not over yet. Things are starting to come back to normal a bit, hopefully in the fall, but we don't know what some of that fallout is going to be. So this, I often can't predict which resolutions that come to the University Faculty Senate will be passed and which ones won't, but I think it's safe to say that this one is going to pass. And that's my report.
Sorry, I was muted. Thank you. Any questions? Okay, then we will go on. I don't see Rudaba on. Is there anybody that is representing the Student Association?
I do not see anybody, Heidi.
Okay, thanks. So All right, then we will move on to divisional reports, and Dr. Cromwell, you're up.
Thank you, Heidi, and good afternoon, everyone. And so it's such a pleasure to be able to share with you some of the work that the Division of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion is doing. So our division is made up of 3 units, and I'll be speaking today about some of the work that is happening in the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, which is one of the units, and sharing a little bit about what is happening in Title IX, which is also one of the units. So there are 3 things or 4 things that I want to speak about, and one of them is an Equity Advocate Initiative. The other one is about Racial Equity and Justice Fellows. The third is about a Truth, Racial Healing and Transformation Campus Center Initiative. And I think I added a 5th one. The 4th is about Sexual Violence Awareness Week, month, which is April. And then 5th, just circling back to the College Council members about attending the Critical Cultural Consciousness. So the first one, the Equity Advocate Initiative, I want to say that this initiative is an opportunity for us to revolutionize our hiring at the college. And the idea of the Equity Advocate is that we would have employees that serve as consultants, resources, and advisors on all search committees for hiring faculty and search committees for also hiring staff. And they will be supportive of the search process, specifically for helping the search committees to really understand how to work with diverse candidates. Equity advocates will work closely with the hiring authority and with the search committee chair to advocate for the principles and practices related to diversity, equity, and inclusion. So we're in the process right now of sending out nominations for our equity advocates. That is going to happen by the end of April. And the equity advocates can be nominated by anyone on the college campus, even by themselves. They would be selected by the chairs of the departments, and they will also be selected by deans if they're faculty. This month, we're hoping that we will be able to launch that initiative. And equity advocates are trained around 3 core areas. So before they serve as equity advocates, they have to do some, I want to say, significant education. And they're educated around 3 main areas. 1, bias and identity. The second area is on whiteness. And the third is equity-minded interviewing. So as I said, this Equity Advocate Initiative can truly revolutionize the way that we do hiring at the college. I like to say that our equity advocates will be the eyes, ears, and heart of diversity, equity, and inclusion on search committees. The second initiative that I really want to share with you, and I am jumping up and down because I'm so happy. And this truly speaks to the commitment that this college has for this work. So the Racial Equity and Justice Fellows, I want to give a little bit of background before I talk too much about the fellows. So SUNY Plattsburgh is a part of a 30-member college consortium across the Northeast, which I brought to SUNY Plattsburgh from my work at Regis College. And these colleges all get together and share information related to specifically working with minoritized students to ensure that those students persist. And that initiative is called Leading for Change. And it's, as I said, it specifically looks at racial equity and justice to make sure that these students can persist. Each campus has a campus team, and SUNY Plattsburgh has a cross-functional group of constituents who have been working since, I believe, back in 2019 to ensure that there's racial equity across all divisions and departments on campus. Our work has come to a really interesting trajectory right now, which I'm very excited about. We are in the process of identifying faculty in our entire faculty body that have no equity gaps or very small equity gaps in their classes. And we're inviting those faculty to then work with us to get a sense of what are the good things you're doing in your class pedagogically, what are the things they're doing related to student engagement, and then having those faculty work with some of their peers to do some of the work that we have identified, so that those peers that they're working with can then intentionally work towards not having equity gaps in their classes. And when I speak about equity gaps are the things that we see in a class where a student is either getting a D, an F, or a W, withdrawing. And I'm really excited about that, because then having faculty work with their peers can be a true intentional way of us helping to support students that would not have that support in some other ways. So the third initiative that I want to speak about, which I'm just as excited about, is the opportunity for us to have a Truth, Racial Healing and Transformation Campus Center at SUNY Plattsburgh. In April of this year, we engaged in a very competitive process with AAC&U to attend an institute. And at that institute, AAC&U will be actually helping campuses to develop a Truth, Racial Healing and Transformation Campus Center. And some of the outcomes of the Campus Center would be helping the campuses to truly develop action plans to achieve truth, racial healing, and transformation on their campuses. This institute will also help us to develop what they've called prescriptions for racial healing circles. So we know that we're in the midst and everybody's on pins and needles waiting for the outcome of the Derek Chauvin trial. If we had a Truth, Racial Healing and Transformation Center, we would have some of those ideas for the ways that we can initiate those healing circles. One of the other things that will come out of the initiative is becoming a part of a growing national Truth, Racial Healing and Campus Center network. And I want to be really clear about the types of schools that have these networks. They're schools that are highly resourced in terms of economic capital, in terms of social capital, and in terms of human capital. So in a way, this is punching above our weight. But again, I say that it really shows our commitment to this work. And attending this institute makes us eligible to have a Truth, Racial Healing and Transformation Campus Center at SUNY Plattsburgh, which I think will raise the profile of our institution related to this work. So the last thing I wanted to share, and with your permission, I would also send some of that to you in an email. Our Title IX office is really looking at supporting our students, faculty, and staff that have experienced some form of sexual violence by looking at April, which is Sexual Violence Awareness Month. At the end of the month, most campuses have a Take Back the Night event, and that's a really big event for a lot of campuses. Our campus, sometimes not so much. And what I would really like us as a campus to do, and Dr. Inietti spoke about us being student-centered but trauma-informed, because we're trauma-informed, we want to make sure that when these events happen, that we attend. We don't just want to wait until, that we have to intervene. So this is more proactive. So I will be sending some more information about our Take Back the Night. And the last thing that I placed on my remarks, just because it was brought up by Dr. Inietti, is that I would truly like the College Council members to be able to take part in our critical cultural consciousness. And it's not a training, it's an education series that really helps us as a community to build a level of equity mindedness. So as I shared, the email was sent out. It might be in your junk emails because it didn't come from me, it came from someone else. So I've shared it with you again, I've forwarded it. And between now and the end of the week, maybe by early next week, I'll be reaching out to you again to see if we can solidify some dates for May and for June for us to do this critical cultural consciousness education. So those are my remarks. Thank you for your time and your attention. And I would welcome your questions, your comments, or your suggestions.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Okay, thank you, Michelle.
Wait, Michelle,
Oh,
sorry.
one question, Sal.
Yeah, sorry. How many other campuses in SUNY have an equivalent of you and the work that your division does? Do you know?
I think so. We have 64 campuses and they're different. We have, again, differently resourced in terms of economic, human and social capital, but also in terms of so we have 13 comprehensives. They all have a chief diversity officer, but what I can share is that we all have different iterations of the way that the work is done, who the position reports to, how well the position is resourced. I think to some extent, we are doing a fairly good job, I can say, at SUNY Plattsburgh. We do need a lot more human resources for this work because the work, I want to say it's almost amorphous, but they all have chief diversity officers because in 2015, there was I call it a resolution, so I think I'm misspeaking by calling it a resolution, but there was a mandate that was passed that every campus had to have a chief diversity officer. But again, they have different versions of the chief diversity officer. So thank you for that question, Sal. And I hope I answered the question.
No, you did. Because I asked that question just to get a sense is that, you know, okay, you got me going down a rabbit hole, sorry. You know, this is, you know, what happened with this last faculty member is something that this campus has had to deal with, something that this college council and even Heidi, Sid, myself, you know, on the council having to help, you know, the college sort of navigate, you know, this trouble and also manage it from, you know, the trauma inflicted on students. So there is a lot of background, I think, not just at the college, but certainly in the community. And sort of you take that background of Plattsburgh and its surrounding community, and you can really replicate that across the other comprehensive colleges. Very rural based, very limited in human capital, actually sort of probably an heavy export of human capital in these regions, and a high minority population on campuses, taking advantage of EOP programs and other programs to, you know, support disadvantaged students to going to a state-run, you know, college and getting a degree. And so I was just sort of wondering if this was an opportunity, or if it's actually happening, you know, for Plattsburgh to lead here, you know, given the events that have taken place over the years, what we've learned from them, what we've worked through. I guess in an effect of sort of demonstrating, you know, sort of justice, you know, and justice not in the sense of, you know, a court ruling, but justice in the sense of either tangible actions or policy actions where Plattsburgh is
a thought leader,
changes into its fabric for
right,
everyone to sort of see.
And I love that you're having those considerations, but also articulating them openly. And I think for me, once I came to Plattsburgh, one of the first things that, and Ann Hansen might be the only one that was a cabinet member when I just got here, that one of the first things I talked about was making Plattsburgh a thought leader, but not just a thought leader, but also an action leader. So by having the Truth, Racial Healing and Transformation Campus Center, that can help us to set the idea that we're not just doing these little one and done trainings or conversation. So it has to be both. It has to be that we have to do the proactive work. And I think one of the things that we are still in the process of getting Plattsburgh to be able to do well is to be in conversation and to be in dialogue with each other. So to that point, there will be the Truth, Racial Healing and Transformation Center. And I'm an advanced dialogue practitioner. So one of the things that we have done back in 2019 was begin these conversations through different dialogic models. And what I want to say that we have to have a level of patience with is what Plattsburgh is experiencing didn't happen in 2 years, didn't happen in 5 years, didn't happen in 10 years. So it will take significant and continued efforts. And, you know, and this is why it's important for us to do this system-wide. And when I say system-wide, not with SUNY system, with our campus system. So that would involve the College Council, it would involve the executive team, you know, the cabinet, the deans, the students, the faculty. It has to be a concerted effort where everybody's all in and doing this. So I think the mere fact that we're having this conversation at the College Council is encouraging, but it's also important. And this is why I think I would really urge you to be a part of the education and then joining in with other forms of dialogue and interventions that we're doing. And I would love to continue these conversations, Sal. So thank you. And I appreciate you going down that rabbit hole.
Thank you, Michelle, and thank you for the answer.
Any other questions? Okay, then I guess we have Sean Dermody is going to step in for Vice President La Rochelle for Administration and Finance. So take it away, Sean.
Good afternoon, Ms. Kelly. Excuse me, President Ignetti, members of the College Council and guests. Again, thank you for that introduction. It's my pleasure to share a few updates on behalf of the Administration and Finance Division today. I'd like to start by sharing some updates regarding the budget and expand a little bit more upon what President Ignetti spoke about earlier. As I think most members of this group are aware of from the news, all components of the New York State fiscal year 2021-22 budget were passed on April 8th. Please bear in mind that SUNY Systems Administration is still having further discussions and analysis with the New York State Division of Budget, but we are anticipating additional information will be forthcoming. But I did want to share with you a few key highlights from the budget and what it means for SUNY Plattsburgh. So first thing is that direct state support for fiscal year 2020-21 was reduced by $46.4 million or 5% for SUNY. The good news is that this is a one-time reduction in state funding, and the SUNY Board of Trustees is currently working on how this reduction will be allocated among the campuses. Systems Administration is also looking into being permitted to leverage federal stimulus funding to offset this reduction. I say good news because we don't normally say 5% decrease is good news. I say good news in the sense of direct state support for fiscal year 2021-22 was not reduced and was restored to the fiscal year 2019-2020 levels. So there had been a proposal for that to continue. Right now, we are looking at 5% for this fiscal year only. Other updates in the budget, the predictable funding plan for SUNY state operated campuses, allowing a $200 annual tuition increase for resident undergraduate tuition, was not included in the final budget. However, legislation was approved to completely eliminate the TAP gap by fiscal year 2024-25, which is wonderful, wonderful news. So obviously this is a big thing, and we are still working on calculating the annual impact of this legislation to the college, but this has been something that many stakeholders in our campus community have been working on, and it's great to see that. And there's other good news in the budget. Certainly we are seeing an increase in capital funding by $100 million from $550 to $650 million. And there are some increases in specific programs. The budget includes a 20% increase in support for EOP, or a $6.4 million increase. a $500,000 increase in the university-wide mental health services program, and a $2 million increase in state education department grant funding for support of students with disabilities. I want to be one thing clear about each of these three. These are at the system-wide level, and individual information about campuses and what campuses might expect to see, we don't have that information yet. So obviously we're very interested in this, but seeing the enacted budget continue to support this is good news. In addition, other things that we have seen, currently the budget does not include any early retirement incentives for SUNY employees. There is no funding identified for contractual salary obligations, with the exception of one-time funding for the recently settled University Police Union contract. There had been a proposal to reform academic program review and streamline that process. That was not included in the enacted budget. However, there is a commitment from both houses of the legislature to work with SUNY Systems Administration to develop legislation outside the budget process, which we would certainly welcome. And finally, procurement flexibility provisions enacted in 2011 have been extended through 2026. So again, overall, certainly very encouraging news about the TAP gap and other things like that. And again, we are still in the process, certainly SUNY Systems Administration, as well as our campus budget office is in the process of evaluating. And again, we anticipate further information will be forthcoming. So again, overall, it's some encouraging things in the enacted budget this year. Switching over to construction. We always like to highlight a few major projects for this group to be aware of. And Vice President LaRochelle has asked me to speak to a few of these. I want to stress again, and always in sharing this, that our construction is done in collaboration with our partners at DASNY and the SUNY Construction Fund. And what I am sharing is just a sampling of the projects. So a couple ones that I wanted to bring to your attention. We are working on a project to do a restoration of the masonry, similar to what was done at Memorial Hall, impacting the Angel College Center, Feinberg Library, Kehoe, and Yoakum. So quite a few buildings. This was designed in September 2019, delayed due to COVID-19 budget restrictions, but a bid date's expected to be announced soon, with construction to follow awarding of the bid. We are looking at a project to replace the slate roof in Champlain Valley Hall. We anticipate construction to start this summer on that roof, which is which is at its end of life. And we are, again, that is another one that was delayed, but we are looking forward to that moving forward. Certainly one of the projects we're most excited about is Memorial Hall. And again, phase one of the renovation of Memorial Hall, which began in May 2020, has made significant progress. Work to date that has been completed includes an abatement, demolition work, heating and ventilation duct work, and air handling units, amongst others. And that portion of phase one is anticipated to be completed by November or December 2021. We have recently completed a project in Harrington Hall, renovating bathrooms. And again, this is one of our newest projects completed. It included a full replacement of the mechanical systems, as well as reconfiguration of the bathrooms into individual private bathrooms, certainly for ADA accessibility and increased privacy of the residents. We are looking at a project, certainly another project on our list is the renovation of 2 nursing labs within Hawkins Hall. This is going to include numerous individual simulation labs to support academic instruction with our nursing program. And at this point, we're anticipating construction to begin during summer or fall 2021. And just because some of us always get interested in it, we have a project to replace the parking lot for Kehoe Myers. And so that's another project that we are anticipating to begin this summer. As I always say, there are plenty more projects we could select from, and there is a website for construction project updates that we keep updated, and I certainly encourage you to go there to learn more, see pictures and other things with the significant work that continues. Finally, the last thing that Vice President LaRochelle asked me to share was again, a lot of work within our division continues to be supporting the safe operations of the campus. Most recently, our Human Resource Services Department provided guidance with employees about plans for returning to work on campus. At this time, most non-teaching employees are currently reporting to campus to fulfill their work obligations. That's what's currently happening. There have been employees who have been granted a COVID-19 specific accommodation for the 2020-2021 academic year for reasons such as childcare or, again, being a high-risk category. That is anticipated to continue through July 2nd, 2021. After July 2nd, requests for remote work will be considered due to specific individual health situations or disabilities via the reasonable accommodation for state employees. Again, as President Ignetti shared earlier, all of the campus is obviously going to continue to look for the guidance from CDC, New York State, and SUNY to ensure, again, a safe return for those employees who will be coming back to the campus. But ultimately, it is encouraging to continue to see more employees coming to campus, athletic activities resuming, and other things. And so again, our division continues to provide those support. So happy to answer any questions that you might have, but that concludes my report.
Thank you. Are there any questions on the administration and business administration and finance report?
Sean, given the budget and also the surplus that Dr. Ignetti had referenced, what types of programming or activities might you open the spigot a little bit to allow, obviously student programming or perhaps, faculty, staff needs, whatever, but, what have you cut off from austere budgeting that you might be able to bring back a little bit?
Well, I think my immediate first reaction, Sal, is it's certainly going to depend upon the final guidance that we receive. And certainly those type of decisions will be a campus-wide decision that I anticipate Vice President LaRochelle will have with other members of the President's cabinet. Certainly, we have restricted spending significantly in accordance with the guidance we received from Division of Budget. And certainly, I think all of us look forward to the days where those type of strict spending controls will be not as necessary. But again, I think it will depend ultimately in the final how it shakes out. And it's nice to be in a position where we can have those conversations as opposed to what we were thinking it might look like.
So I'll just,
I hope that answers. Oh, sorry, Alex. I was just going to say I hope that answers your question.
and what I'll add to Sean, to your great answer, is that one of the, I'll say, outcomes of our strategic planning, Sal, will be to help us determine where do we make selective investments and essentially, in many ways, strategic investments of the resources we have to build on what you said in terms of student support services, programs, and things like that. So I think the two really come together simultaneously, establishment of the plan and really, in many ways, a recalibration of how we invest the precious resources and treasure that we have on the campus. So thanks.
Right, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Sean. Now Vice President Hansen is going to talk about institutional advancement. Anne?
Great, thank you, Heidi. And it's wonderful to see everybody today. I'm going to touch on two topics very quickly. First is a quick update on our affinity campaigns that we're running through the end of this fiscal year, and also touch on some strategic planning that's underway related to our Plattsburgh Alumni Association. So in regards to affinity campaigns, we have 4 mini campaigns going on between now and June 30th. And one is, one is already done, but it's going to continue for a while yet. The Feed a Cardinal campaign, I think I may have mentioned this at the last College Council meeting, but It's been just tremendously successful. This campaign is focused on the comfort and care of our students, and it addresses the food pantry and also providing care packs for students that are in isolation and quarantine. Just emphasizing what Dr. Agnetti said a little bit earlier about the depth of faculty and staff concern for students. The response has been amazing. I think we started out with like a 2,000. It was just a mini quick campaign to get people engaged in year-end giving. $2,000 goal. Within 2 weeks, we had over $7,000 in gifts. Those care packs for students in isolation and quarantine, that whole program was something that was just self-initiated by a group of staff within administration and finance. They thought it'd be nice to take some gift and food bags over to students in IMQ, and it just took off like a house on fire. Concern and well-being, the concern for the well-being of our students is really something that Plattsburgh is known for. And so I wanted to start just by sharing that info. Another affinity campaign that will launch probably this week is one related to a dearly loved faculty member in the library, Tim Hartnett, who passed away just a year ago. This is a memorial scholarship. A group of about 12 of his friends put together a seed fund to establish a scholarship in his name. He's, for those of you who may not didn't have the opportunity to know Tim, he's remembered very much for the way he shared so generously with others, everything from his amazing talent with music to just the way he lifted people up across campus. He was really engaged in all areas of the campus community. So that will be going out to faculty, staff, and groups of alumni in likely this week. The third is the Adopt a Student campaign. And this is another, we're all about, honoring people that really are amazing examples of what we mean by the Plattsburgh experience we offer. So Michelle Carpentier has been serving here in student support services for over 30 years. This campaign to honor Michelle is directly linked to the efforts that people make on this campus to help students succeed. So going above and beyond. The focus here in this will be a scholarship that will be awarded to underrepresented students who have proven that they have the ability to succeed academically, but they do not have the financial resources to stay in school and graduate. So it's very much focused on that helping hand. We've received a $25,000 gift already from Brian Hartman and Andrew Gage. Their gift was provided specifically to kick this effort off, and we'll be raising another $25,000 before June 30th. So that is pretty exciting to work on. The Rise Up Red campaign, we do it every year, end of the year. It's the end of the year drive. Tom Hermes, once again, is providing a $25,000 match to give us a little oomph at the end of the year. This is so important because this is focused on gifts to the Plattsburgh Fund. That's the money that goes directly into student scholarships to help enroll students. So critical resources. The Plattsburgh Fund also supports diversity, equity, inclusion programming, applied learning grants, and emergency grants. Very important funding. All of these campaigns, they're driven by Aubrey Brissett's team in advancement communications, the annual giving team, Paula Bachman and Brittany Trahan, and in major gifts area, Faith Leach and myself. Every single thing we do in IEA, there's always a team, a group of people that are working together to help drive it forward. The last item I've got is the Plattsburgh Alumni Association is going through a really exciting transition. Joe Tolliver, class of 72, became president of the association in January. This is the second time that I'm aware of that the association has been blessed with a president who has deep experience in higher education. So Joe is recently retired as the vice president of student affairs at St. Lawrence College. He is the first Black president of the Plattsburgh Alumni Association, and he accepted this role because he wants to partner with the college in a leadership capacity at this time. And he sees our dedication to building inclusive excellence. He sees the leadership that Dr. Agneti is providing, the leadership that Dr. Cromwell's providing, the commitment of across the campus. He's been watching carefully for some time and he likes what he sees. So he likes the way the foundation is driving resources and charitable giving in support of our diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. So we're thrilled to have Joe on board. He has kicked off a strategic planning process. His exec committee has interviewed 12 campus leaders and some students and asked the question, what is it that the Alumni Association should focus on as their priority to partner effectively with their alma mater? So we're very excited to see what will come of those interviews and the planning. That information will be shared this Friday when the board meets. The leadership in my area that supports the Alumni Association board, that comes directly from Carrie Chapin-Levine and Paula Duke. So they're doing a great job working with that team, and we're excited to move forward. Those are my 2 quick items. Any questions? I think you're muted, Heidi.
I am. I thought I unmuted. Thanks, Anne. Okay, I believe Dr. Agneti is going to present the report on academic affairs.
And I actually incorporated it into my notes when I presented earlier. So you've
Okay, so there's nothing additional?
No, you heard all about the reaccreditations,
Okay.
the student awards, and all the great things that that Academic Affairs is doing. So,
okay. I was paying attention. I don't want you to think I wasn't paying attention.
I didn't think that for a moment. I think I was just on a roll and it all blended. It's like singing a song, right? That was the melody and you missed the chorus.
Okay, well, thank you. And I guess Vice President Wahab.
Good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to give my divisional report. As you all know, I manage both enrollment management and student success. From the enrollment management front, what I'm going to do is give you a quick synopsis as to where we are with new students right now. So our goal for fall for new students is 1614, and we are about 47.8% of the way to our goal. SUNY system as a whole has seen an application decline of 30%. At Plattsburgh, we have seen a decline of 13%, mostly from our EOP application. That, we started with like a 50% decline, and we have now closed the gap to a 13% decline. So this really sets up admissions to work very much on a one-on-one, small institution, face-to-face through Zoom and other platforms with our students so that we can continue with the yield that we are hoping. Just an overview, right now, our total student body is in the 5,000 range. In the last 10 years, we lost about 1,300 students. Our hope with the strategic planning and a strategic enrollment management plan is to gain back the loss over the next 3 to 4 years. So in doing so, what we're also doing is taking a look at the students who apply, our prospective students, and the mix of students who apply. In terms of admissions, looking at the right fit and the students who can really make the most of their opportunity here at Plattsburgh. So in the past, we have had the luxury to reject a large number of students that we did not think would meet the academic fit for the institution. Since the pandemic, our students have expressed to us their desire to have a place where they really can see the output of their education, not only in a degree, but in social mobility and financial mobility. So admissions mindset in terms of capturing a market and positioning ourselves have become more student-centered than we have ever been in the past. We are trying to increase our student application from minoritized population, but most importantly, also the rural population that for whom we can have a transformative outsized effect. So we're excited about the applications we have, but we are reviewing each application twice. Not only that we want to capture the best students that we can serve, but also to make sure during this time of volatility that we can really zone in on students that we can serve towards the next 4 years. In that hope, my whole department, ESS, has really started working collaboratively. So it's not just admissions making the decisions and then student success picking it up. It's student success and admissions making those decisions. We're doing holistic review, which has tremendously helped us and opened up another area of looking at students beyond test scores and GPA to what activities they have been involved in, what were their pandemic experiences, what did they have to go through to be where they are right now, and how can we assist them to not only matriculate here at Plattsburgh, but move forward. We've had tremendous help from the Alumni Association to handwrite notes to 2,000 of our accepted students. This means a lot for our students. It shows that Plattsburgh really cares. In the age of electronics, the handwritten notes kind of were notes of bygone days. We've brought that in front, including we have launched a private online platform that connects the accepted students to our faculty, staff, current students, and alumni. This is a platform by People Grove that is getting a lot of attention. Students are coming in, asking questions. So even before they deposit and matriculate into Plattsburgh, they get a chance to see where they're coming and ask the right questions. So those are some of the highlights that admissions has been working on with other departments. Fast forwarding to student success, Michelle Carpentier has been critical in not only helping EOP students, but helping students don't fall in the EOP category, but we call them our cousins. So there's a large group of students that financially don't fall in EOP category, but does very well with that help. And we've really expanded our outreach to our Cardinal Achievement Program students, our cousins, and we're seeing a very nice rate of return in terms of student interest for the new class coming in. As you know that we also work very closely for students that are on campus that may be suffering from food insecurity. We just received a huge grant for a large refrigerator that enables us to upskill our pantry by putting in perishable food, eggs, cheese, milk, which is really exciting. Our students are then going to be able to have access to this type of food and good nutrition as we move forward. When we looked at EOP and CAP students and attrition rate, two major projects that we have launched this semester, ESS-wide, is the onboarding process, how we onboard students that have deposited. This is the handoff from admissions to the rest of the campus. We're trying to make it much more meaningful. We've included academic affairs in this process, as well as all of our student success colleagues in the process. So from the get-go, the students know the kind of support that they have. So come in fall, they would have already have gone through processes which would show them we care about their academic success and how the campus experience is going to be for them. So those two projects are ongoing with the help of our ESS Associate Vice President Michelle Carpentier. We're also looking at management of senior to be able to increase graduation rate. We're looking at seniors who are in that danger zone of not being able to finish up due to financial reasons or due to other reasons. So we're really taking a keen look to make sure we are doing from the campus everything we can for them to finish off strong. Student emergency services and grants have really helped our seniors to be able to get through some of this, the hurdles that they've really faced during the pandemic. SUNY Plattsburgh hosts the largest student support services and upward bound grants in the state of New York. So we're trying to really get upward bound excited in this process of admission. So the admission cycle of prospective students comes from the various pipelines that we already have grants for, and we have a great recognition. So that seems to be going well. I was really excited to see that Mike Howard, our athletic director, did such a good job in getting the D3 athletes recognized in our athletic D3 recognition Zoom that we had. The provost and I did some remarks, and it was very heartwarming to see our athlete scholars doing as well as they are doing, even though the fall was so tough for them. So we're excited to be able to open up athletics and recreation more in a pod mode. We're testing our students. Many are vaccinated, so they're being able to play a bit more than they were. The annual Cardinal Athletic Game on Forgiving campaign, they set a record by raising about $80,000 from alumni, friends, and family contributing, which again shows our athletes that as a community, we care. We care for what not only what they're doing, but the leadership opportunities that we are able to help them with as they progress. Our Greek life students have been very active in community organizations, really trying to move forward with leadership and also helping our students on campus lead with health and safety, with INQ, and managing the testing protocols, and really the peer pressure, helping each other and keeping each other safe. So I've been very proud to see their leadership and their visible presence around campus. Okay, so student life this year, including fraternities and sororities, just completed 5,000 volunteer hours. And they have also raised over $20,000 for St. Jude's Research Hospital. And this has been really led by our Greek fraternities and sorority students. Career Development hosted a career fair that was attended by 54 employers. It was a Zoom fair, but we had about 177 students in attendance. As we move forward with our strategic planning, Career Center is becoming a place that not only serves our students as they're becoming from junior to senior, but in the very beginning, we're trying to front load some of these experiences so students who are coming in can start the process much earlier than being a junior or so. So that's an area of investment for our department to really start the Career Center to be a hub, not only for students that we're placing as they're graduating, but for internships and other placements. So our eyes are on that group in helping lift that center college-wide, so we're able to serve all students at all academic categories. And I just wanted to end by saying that in our most recently completed reporting, SUNY Plattsburgh's SSS program, which is the Student Success Program, boasted a persistence rate of 87%. So students in EOP, CAP are graduating at a much higher rate and persisting at a higher rate than the national average. So real kudos goes to that team led by Dr. Michelle Carpentier in getting us all together, and her efforts in breaking down some of the silos that have been created throughout the years in terms of having a divisional mentality as opposed to a department mentality. So we're trying to front load a lot of what we do to let prospective students know ahead of time, so we can really create that climate of care that students so appreciate when they come to SUNY Plattsburgh. So that concludes my report. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Yeah, Lizzie, this is Dan. If I heard you correctly, your goal was to get 1,614 or something new incoming students. I can only imagine what you're facing trying to get the students to come. But so, what are you budgeting? What's the budget to reflect? Do you think you can get to 1,600, or are you budgeting for 1,100 or 1,200 or something like that?
So we're budgeting for 1,614, but the way things look at, we may be able to not only hit the budget, we may be able to go a little beyond.
Really?
So we're really working hard with the students on that very one-on-one personal type of counseling. That is what I would say the hallmark of SUNY Plattsburgh admissions.
Oh, very good. So I think you said you're at about 45% of that goal right now, or something like that. So that's you're comfortable with that at this point in time on the calendar and all that good stuff?
Well, this is my first year at SUNY Plattsburgh, so comfortable is a difficult question because I see the numbers from other institutions in my mind, but I am told by the specialized expertise and admissions that we're doing well, and we're doing well numerically because we're about 35 students ahead in terms of undergraduate. Where we're going to see a considerable hit is international. Many of the borders are not yet open. Consulate services are not open. So those are the students we're going to see a decline coming from. But we're working around the clock to make sure that not only we meet, that we strategically invest to grow that pie.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Well, Marty still never made it, so there will be no chair report. So I'll turn it over to Dr. Kroll to report on the Faculty Senate.
I'll make this as brief as I can, but it's my last report, so it better be a good one, right? First, I'd like to report my shock and joy, Sean Dermody, for the news that CVH is going to receive a new roof. My goodness. I love this building so much, and that a little TLC is being thrown in its direction. Okay, that has nothing to do with the Senate. I just live here. The Senate has been busy-ish. Where everyone's most faculty are working either in middle states, that review as Sandra was talking about, and other of us have been working on general education. Those have been the twin priorities, the twin vectors of the Senate for at least a year and a half or so, and it's as it should be. And Sandra already alluded to, Sid, you remember we've been talking about those first year seminars, right? So we got them, okay? This is sausage getting made, folks. Let me just go ahead and give you a couple of titles here. Black Power Movements in the United States, 1860s and 1970s by John McMahon, Connie Oxford. Immigrants, We Get the Job Done. Ken Podolak, our physicist, is going to be teaching Technology for Future Leaders. Let's see, we have Erica Gaze, It's Time for Change, Who Made My Clothes? And of course, you have yours truly's Thinking About Roadkill. These are all going to be kind of exciting, kind of, funky seminars, but we're also going to be doing a lot of skill building. Okay, what is the syllabus? Here's the campus. We're going to be teaching them about office hours, how to take notes in a way. Sid again, this speaks to your concern about what I call in my house the COVID seniors, and we have one in our house.
Yeah.
Major problems. I was actually on a call with the Adirondack Foundation and a whole bunch of superintendents and principals in the area, and people are freaking out. So the Cardinal Foundation seminars will not be the solution, but they will be part of a wider program towards dealing with what some of us know and many of us are coming to know as the peculiar challenges of next year and probably an echoing 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the line. But that's okay. We can do that. We can do that. Okay, and I think two other things. I am going to still try to get the teach-in written into resolution. So that is still a priority of mine, and I think I can do that with the little capital I have left with the Senate before they kick me out. And finally, I did want to say in alignment with Alex's comments about Harrington and what's going on in Algonquin. I don't know how many students, I think the students that actually wanted to stay on could be a very, very small exception, Alex. However, I work over there on Friday evenings, and so I get to deliver the food, and I actually delivered those, the Cardinal food one, and it's awesome. It's awesome. And when I was in the focus groups, in this kind of strategic plan thing we're doing, the students who went through Harrington have gone out of their way to say, thank you so much for being kind to us, being nice to us, for fooling around with us, where we do this thing with apps constantly. So Alex, you're right. I don't think there was 1 or 2 people who wanted to stay there, but we're doing a good job. And that is just, faculty and staff taking really caring attitude towards our students. So listen, I've gotten to know all of you a little bit. I'm speaking to the council now, and I've gotten to know some of you quite a bit, not just through 1, but through 2 presidential searches. I have always been impressed and a bit in awe with with this group of people, and especially the way your roots go so deeply into this community, into the North Country community. That's what I got out of being with you all, is to see that kind of nexus between the college and the North Country. And I think that's going to continue to be a priority as we move forward. So I'm just really happy to know that you all are on the job, and I'm sure I'll be seeing you around, but otherwise it's not going to be at this meeting. So thank you so much for your time. I will take a question, but I'm not anticipating any.
Gary, this is Dan.
Hey, Dan.
Whatever you do, don't take down those bookshelves, because I think that's holding up the ceiling that's going to get fixed.
Dan, I've got a crack. I got a crack in my wall that goes straight through to the masonry, right? It's but yeah, you're right. We try not to scratch too much on CVH, because we know there's asbestos everywhere, right? And so let's just keep it. We just paint heavily over everything, right? Okay, I didn't say that.
Thank you, Gary, on behalf of the council. It's been great to work with you, and I think you did a great job.
Heidi, thank you so much. My pleasure.
Okay, I don't believe Kim Hartshorn is with us, nor is Ethel Facto. So we'll move on to old business. Is there any other old business? Any new business? Okay, so I would say, Sue, you want people to respond to you about graduation, correct?
That is correct, Heidi.
Okay, so let Sue know if you're willing to do any or all of the graduation ceremonies, and Sue, maybe reach out to Marty again.
I will do so, yes.
Okay, all right. If there's nothing else, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Okay,
Second.
Sid, second.
Dan.
Dan, Sal, pick one. All right. Thank you, everybody. And, I hope everybody has a good end to the school year. And we'll see
good
you,
luck. 4 weeks.
I guess, in the fall.
In the fall. Yeah.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
I'll see you
Bye.
all
Take care.
in
Well
June.
done,
Take care.
everybody.
Thank
Take
you.
care, Gary.
Go with peace. Take care now.
Thanks,
Bye,
everyone.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye, Michelle.